Rabbi Nachman, in the book Tzaddik, he explains an unbelievable phenomena that you have some people that they begin to overly believe in an item being the right thing to do, being a mitzvah. And they get so involved in this item, believing that it is the most important thing to do, and they begin to slowly drop everything else and give themselves over day and night, flesh and blood, body and soul, to this one item. They literally self-sacrifice themselves totally for this one item. And it even reaches the point where they're willing to get involved in strife and conflict on behalf of this item, which they believe to be a very big mitzvah. Even though it may not necessarily be one of the 613 explicit mitzvahs, but they believe it to be one of them and an important mitzvah, and they're willing to sacrifice everything for the sake of this mitzvah. And what normally happens in the end, Rabbi Nachman explains there, is that in the end these people end up losing everything, losing even what they had before, and the potential that they could have had if they just kept, quiet and just conducted themselves in total simplicity. They lost out everything, and also the damage, the repercussion caused by them overdoing it in one item, believing that this was a mitzvah, and they went to the extent to self-sacrifice themselves for their belief that this item was the right thing to do. And in the end, they lost out big time. They lost out on the continuity of all the good that they could have continued to have done if they wouldn't have just invested and taken out so much time for this one item. This is especially true, for an example, when people begin to believe that it's a mitzvah to pursue a certain person who's doing what in their eyes is doing bad, he's doing evil. So they get so inflamed that this is the right thing to do, to get involved in a quote-unquote a type of religious politics, and they bring proofs to justify that this is a mitzvah, and everybody else should also make the sacrifice and get involved in this item. And in the end, unfortunately, what happens is these people, because they got so carried away with their personal truth, believing that this was the real truth, and that they have to convince other people to bend to this attitude, in the end, they lose out. And Rabbi Nachman mentioned it as a reminder: don't lose your balance. Don't lose your balance. In other words, keep up your steady, stable service of Hashem, your devotions. Let it be spread out, and not to get like some people you find again, to get carried away with one item. They get so heated up that you can't even talk to them anymore. And in the end, when you look back 10 years later, right, you look back 2 years, whatever, you see how they lost out big time. It's best always, when people get excited for a certain item, not to get involved, to be quiet, stay in the corner, and to continue your daily devotions, believing that this is what builds and makes the bricks and the cement for the holy edifice that Hashem is planning to build, using all of your Torah study, all your mitzvot, all your prayers, the consistency of not getting over crazy because of one item and dropping everything for that item. Not to fall into the trap which is so easy for people to fall into.